everyone, my name's Josh Diaz, and in this video, I'm going to share with you how I shot this interview and what products and techniques I use to make it look the way that it does. Let's go. So it was a lazy Tuesday, and I had to shoot an interview, a single person interview, a sit down type of affair in a corporate office, which, as we all know, is pretty daunting in terms of, because it's so boring, it's so monotone and flat. But it was my job to make it look really nice, and that's kind of what I endeavored to do. So after walking around this office for a bit and trying to find the perfect spot, I ended up just deciding on this open air square area. It was about, 15 by 15, but, most importantly, it was the most open area in this office worth of cubicles. And I knew I wanted to create some depth, so I thought, why not go to the place with the most depth? So that's what I did. I brought my equipment over and I started to set up. The first thing I wanted to set up, and a product that so far I'm really happy with, is the Westcott Jim Cine 8x8 diffusion panel. This is a collapsible diffusion panel from Westcott. I'm familiar with their smaller ones, but this was the first time I actually used their 8x8, and I have to say it's massive. It's awesome for cinematography because it is so big and it collapses down. So I set it up and I'm gonna use it as my key. Next, I brought the camera out. This is a Sony FX3 camera with a lens that I knew I was going to use for this project, which was the G Master 35-1.4. Nothing special about that lens. It's just the focal length that I wanted to use for this project. And I started to set it up and hook it up to my phone to use the Creator app so that I could get kind of a director's monitor view of what I was seeing. I just want to share this video of the camera that I was using. So I forgot my step-up rings, my Cine rings, which are great from SimMod Lens. They're the Cine rigs that I use. They're awesome, but I forgot them for that shoot, and I needed to use a VND to bring the light down. So I just kind of wedged it into the lens hood, and I taped it with gaff, little tiny marker tape, and that's pretty embarrassing. But and then you'll see I have the DJI camera shooting the BTS on the camera as well. So that is fun. Next, I brought in my stool. There was a couple stools in the office. Nothing special about them. I just wanted to get a place for my subject. And after adjusting it a little bit, I ended up placing it exactly where I wanted it, really. Center frame, off the back wall. And I had a place to kind of build my lighting setup around. After a few different kind of test looks, I was good with the orientation, but I wasn't really sure what to do with this whiteboard in the back, so I moved it off to the left, but I wasn't really satisfied with that one, so I just put it off to the left just, because. But I actually added a second layer of diffusion to the 8x8 because I thought it would be a good idea. It's just I only have this thin little half-stop diffusion, so to go up to full diffusion is probably a good idea, and I knew I had the light output for it, which you will see soon. So we're gonna move on to the next piece, which is I love my modern studio cutters, like the 40. So that's a 40 by 40 just black floppy from Modern Studio. They are awesome. They're awesome because they fit in cars. Ahead of this project, I had another project where I ordered a bunch of 48 by 48s, thinking that it would be fine to put it in the back of a large hatchback, and then I was an idiot because I didn't measure, and I was humbled. I was very humbled, and I had to return all of them, which was no good. What I learned was that there's a product specific for cars and hatchbacks and SUVs, and that's the 40 by 40, which Modern Studio makes a great iteration of. So it's not collapsible like the Westcott one, but it fits in the back of vehicles and it kind of piles on top of your equipment. It's really good. It's a really good form factor. So we're setting up our dark right now before the key, and it's just a 40 by 40 unflopped, so it's a 40 by 80, and I'm just kind of setting it to add a little darkness to the face and perhaps cut away from some of that overhead light, but not really. We're working with what we got here, and I'm happy with that, so we're gonna move on. Okay, so the next thing I do was I set up my Aperture 600D. And Aperture 600D it's a lot of light for a project like this. I'm very happy to have the 600D for the output, and what I do is I just shoot it straight through the 8x8. I don't set up a book light or anything complicated. It's just a corporate shoot, corporate project, in and out really fast. I think I had 3 hours to do the whole thing, but I quickly run into a problem, and you're gonna see that here. So it all happens pretty fast, but I light the scene with the key light, and then I go sit in as my own stand-in, and I take a look, and it looks like a mess because the color temperatures are trash. What is happening is that the daylight balanced aperture light is shooting daylight at me, and then there's daylight coming off the back wall, which is making its way towards the back of my head. And then above us, we have a ton of just, you know, really orangey green fluorescent lights that are casting this huge, ugly, ugly shadow. So what it was doing is it was throwing blue onto me, like the blueness of the daylight balanced light, and then it was making the whole environment orange. So it looked like we were sitting in a dungy gray-brown office where the subject was clear, but really you want the office to look white and pristine and nice, and we just weren't able to get that with the current balance. So my solution to that was to gel, and gelling is beginning to be kind of an old-fashioned kind of thing to do because of new bicolor lights and even editors being super strong and correcting for that stuff. But I carry a kit of gels in my 600D light kit because I do this setup pretty often, and I happen to know kind of what the dial is for those fluorescent lights in the building. So what I did was I added, I think it was plus 1/8 green and then plus 1/4 orange, like CTO, quarter CTO, and I used a bongo tie to bongo it over the reflector so it would just stay there. It's just something that I do for that 600D, and essentially right on the money. Like, I went back and I checked it and it looked awesome. And because of that, I was able to white balance for the light and the room, which was now the same color temperature, and my whole room was white. Yes, there was still some daylight coming in through the back, but largely negligible in the grand scheme of things compared to the light all around the subject. So I was happy with that concession and balancing the indoor light with the light of my 600D. So going well so far is kind of what I'm trying to say. And then, just well framed for my little GoPro here. You see me working around in the background. That's me setting up the Godox VSA spotlight, the 26 degree angle spotlight, way in the back, out of frame, not even close to the frame of the camera. And I just, I had some time. I was probably 45 minutes out for my interview. Everyone was ready. And I wanted to do a look that kind of emulated the sun coming through the window, because you did see the windows in the back of the frame, so it was motivated. So I went through a bunch of different gobos, and I decided on a window emulation gobo, and I had to kind of fiddle with the right spot. I'm not entirely happy with the look because the light ray didn't extend to the end of the cubicle. But overall, I think the look was valid. I really appreciate getting little practical lights in there. I think it's really strong. And then the light powering the gobo, the spotlight, was a 120D Mark II from Aperture, which is a great light, but has since been discontinued. So I guess I have rare lights now. And I was really happy with that. Side note, if I could do it again, I probably would have flipped everything around key and shadow wise, because I have the shadow on the side of the motivating light, and I have the key on the side of what should be darkness. So I probably would have swapped those around. But other than that, I think technically we're starting to see some really good bones of a shoot. Now here's the look that we ended up going with for our just 3-hour in and out interview. There's a lot of compromises, but I'm pretty proud of what I was able to put together in such short notice. You get a lot of little playful elements, like the light, obviously, from the spotlight, and the key light in the eyes, I think, turned out really well. You do get a bit of a hair light from the fluorescence, and I'm pleasantly surprised that they didn't flicker as well, so there was a lot of positives there. Is the negative a little strong? Yeah. Should my talent really be wearing pure white? Not necessarily. We kind of get a wash out the front. But overall, I'm very happy with how this look turned out in such a short amount of time. So that is a quick corporate lighting breakdown from me, Josh Diaz. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about the breakdown we did today, let me know in the comments below, or any recommendations for how I can approach future breakdowns, please leave a comment below. As always, the links to the products mentioned in this video will be in the description below if you want to check them out. I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.